Hello and welcome back to another video. I was actually going to do a match tournament tonight with my lower stats player, but unfortunately realised I wasn't allowed to play because I wasn't at a high enough level, so I'm going to build him up and do that another time. I had a question from on the YouTube channel. It was from Richard Kelly. He said he's been told you can't drive over 568 yards no matter how many stats you have. And I replied, well, that's not true because everybody's got higher, well, the guys with the big stats have got drives 650 plus. But what he was talking about was the actual pitch point of the ball. I hadn't heard of that at all. And a guy called Jeff8x18 on YouTube came back and said, yep, the max power shot is around about 570 yards. The marker will move forward, but where the ball actually lands, the pitch point of the ball, as I've called it in other videos, will end up in the same spot you would play in with you know, if you're playing with 4,200 or 4,800 stats or whatever. So I thought I'd investigate that because it sounded interesting and potentially a bit controversial. So what I've done on this video, as you'll see, I've essentially hit the ball. You'll notice me slowing it down. This is my standard player, so I can see it's pitching there around 556 yards. This player is me with 4,242 stats. I've played quite a few shots, but I've cut out most of them, but I did kind of record a lot more than I'm actually showing on this video. I think what I do on the video is I'm essentially 3 shots as my player, and then I was kindly given use of another player, someone in my guild. He'll remain nameless unless he wants to be named, so I can always mention him in the comments if he does. Gave me access to his account, which has 4,923 stats, I believe. Certainly a lot more than me. So all I'm doing here is essentially playing, hopefully, some identical shots, or as near identical as you can get. You can't adjust the wind manually. And I'm really slowing it down, as you can see there, to record what the pitch point is of the ball. So I'm essentially investigating what I've been told. I'd never heard of this before. And I said I would investigate, so that's what I'm doing. So yeah, again, this is my 3rd shot. I played about 10 shots with each player. Played 10 shots as me and 10 shots as the higher stat player, and just essentially logged the results. Not necessarily where the ball was ending up, because that can be deceptive, you know, if it hits an upslope or a downslope. It can potentially skip forward 5 or 6 yards, and that could skew the results. But I think where it actually lands, I deliberately chose this course, Kyoto, because the fairway is essentially pretty much the same level as your tee. So there's no kind of difference in elevation, or no significant difference in elevation to account for, or anything along those lines. So that's my 3 shots as my player. So now what I'm doing is I have taken over an account with 4,392 stats. Now you can immediately see the ball marker when I select the power shot here. It's saying 608.1 yards. Now that's my account is a maximum of 579.1. So that's almost a full 30 yards driving distance this account has on me. And I'm doing exactly the same thing. When it gets close, I'm slowing it right down. Taking a log of where it's actually pitching, and you can immediately see perhaps something a little bit surprising. That was in a 2-yard headwind, so let's do the same thing in another wind. Obviously I can't select the wind, so I'm just starting it again, and I did this several times, cut out the several times I got an identical wind one time after another, which happens quite a lot. So I think we'll see this one's in a bit of a crosswind, slightly behind, and again, just keep an eye on the pitch point of the ball. So realistically, I mean, you can understand the trajectory's changed. I wouldn't be surprised if the pitch point was, you know, not quite as exaggerated the difference as you might think. But what we're actually seeing here, and I've got a little chart which we'll see at the end of the video, is essentially for, on paper, a plus 30-yard driving distance. We're not seeing that at all in reality. Now this might be, to be honest, the driving distance we're talking about are out of reach to probably 95% of the people watching this video, so apologies to you guys. It's probably not one for you, to be honest, this video, but it's certainly very interesting to the guys with the big stats, who have been, certainly since the update, chasing. We've got people getting close to 5,000 stats now. But perhaps what they're chasing, which is obviously going to be more distance, the ability to reach the longer holes, is perhaps not actually what's happening as those stats increase. So there we have the 3 shots from each player. So yeah, what I did is I recorded all these shots. I weeded out a lot of ones which didn't really tell us too much, and I just kind of made a very straightforward spreadsheet, really, just with the information I'd found in it. So essentially that spreadsheet you'll see popping up on the screen around about now, that is what I found. So on the left we have my account, on the right we have my guild mates account. As we can see, max drive almost 30 yards difference. Now look at the column, that pitch column, pretty much identical wins. Obviously not going to be exactly the same, but you know, this is being carried across 10-20 shots as each player, and I've seen exactly the same thing for both. The right hand column there, the difference in yards, essentially there's very little difference. For someone who's supposedly driving 30 yards more than me, where the ball's actually pitching is a maximum of 3 yards further on. So very little advantage, certainly in a one-wood driving distance anyway, for those extra, 700 stats nearly. So an interesting one. Again, not particularly interesting to you guys with the lower stats. Maybe as you get up towards kind of 4,000 plus, you could relax a little bit at the moment, because to be honest, from what I've seen here, there isn't any particular advantage to going much higher than that. So an interesting one. Again, it could be controversial. Obviously, the makers probably want people to keep chasing those stats, but maybe it's not necessary. I'll let you decide. Interested to see your comments on this one. Thanks very much for watching.